Thank you so much, everyone, for coming today. I am going to go through a little bit of housekeeping first, because some of you are from university. So if there are any fire alarms, we aren't expecting any fire alarms, but if there are any, the exit is where you came in and then to the front of the building, or there are 2 exits at the back as well, so no need to trample each other, just split in 2 and then go out the exits there. As I said, we aren't expecting any fire alarms, so if there is one going off, please make your way to the front of the building. If you do need the toilet, it's going to be easier for everyone if you go up the back stairs, and then if you just make your way to the front of the building, there are toilets on the left. So try not to walk in front of the panel, that's okay. Which brings me on to my next point nicely. This event is now being live streamed. Hello everyone around the world watching. Lots of fans. This event is being live streamed. The cameras are actually on the panel, so you shouldn't be in any of the footage. However, there are going to be a few people taking pictures of the audience and perhaps the panel. So if you object to your picture being taken or used in any way, please just let the photographer know when they come over. Okay, so why are we all here today? So International Women's Day is part of Women's History Month, and obviously it started with the suffragette movement, and the first known International Women's Day actually occurred on 1911, and that has come through to, I see you surprised, I was surprised by that as well, and that has come through to events, really big events today, and it's insane that we still need to raise awareness for women and gender equality, but here we are today, and we are sort of International Women's Day is really about raising awareness for gender equality and being a balanced world, and everyone across the world has a role to play in that, and actually you guys here today are starting that change with us and are continuing that change, and that's what we really like to see. We are striving for an inclusive and progressive mindset, and for that to be the norm. It should just be the norm. It should be that everyone is treated equally regardless of gender and everything else as well. And I would like to mention a little quote that I saw earlier online, and it says, "The rise of women is not about the fall of men." And that's really important to me because we have some males in the audience here today and perhaps gender fluid people, and I'm so impressed that you came here today, because when you come along to an event like this and you see it's for women, it's supporting women, actually it's really important that you guys come along too, and we are so incredibly thankful that everyone has come here today and is here to support us and to support their fellow women. What I'm going to do is show you a video. It wasn't in my plans, but I saw this earlier, and I thought, do you know what, this is a really good sort of riddle that all you guys can get involved in. So I'm going to just show you a video. Don't worry, it's not too long. It's only 3 minutes, but I just want you to watch it and see what you think.
As part of an experiment to explore the human mind, we asked 22 people to solve the same riddle and recorded their responses. Feel free to participate also. Are you ready?
The riddle. A father is about to bring his son to a job interview, applying for a position at a large stockbrokers company in the city. Just as they arrive at the company's parking lot, the son's phone rings. He looks at his father, who says, "Go ahead, answer it." The caller is the trading company CEO, who says, "Good luck, son, you've got this." The son ends the call and once again looks at his father, who is still next to him in their car. How is this possible?
He gets a call from the CEO, and it says,
"Good luck, son."
But he was next to him.
So it's not the father. I think it was probably an audio recording of his father.
We made it demo tape.
Like he has 2 fathers.
This is a hard one.
Maybe it's a word joke, like it's the grandfather of the son.
No, I think we say the son.
A younger guy and son.
I have no idea.
the answer. It's his mother.
Ah. Oh, that's. Yes, of course. Ah.
I should have thought of that, yes.
The CEO is a woman.
So I'm biased. Listen, this is about diversity and inclusion.
This really might be.
So I always thought that I'm not very sexist. But in spite of that, I think these subconscious biases are there in everyone's mind.
How much bias I still have in terms of thinking that this CEO needs to be a man.
Yeah, I definitely was picturing a man.
I identify with males more than females these days.
Why can't women also be CEOs or doctors or, right?
When I think about a CEO or someone that's high position within a company, I mostly think of men.
And it's a shame, I think.
That's so weird, because I'm a CEO. I want to be a CEO.
I believe women can absolutely be CEOs, and that's definitely something that we should work on, especially when you're saying that so many people have been told this riddle and most people haven't gotten it.
Women make great CEOs and great leaders as well. And yet only 5% of Fortune 500 CEOs are women. Let's change our mindset.
Absolutely. So, how many people, I want a show of hands, how many people knew that it was his mother? Oh, so not actually that many. I mean, I watched it earlier and I thought, oh, that's fine, he's got 2 fathers. It's not too bad, that's pretty normal. But, and I could hear you sort of chatting about it and thinking about it, and I said to my colleague Rebecca earlier, I said, how weird is it that as a woman myself, the first thing that I think of is another sort of diversity issue, so two fathers, instead of it just being a woman. And I'm a woman myself, so I thought, oh, hang on a minute, that's really strange. There must be sort of bias inside myself, even being a woman. So I thought, actually, do you know what, I'm going to show that video and I'm going to tell everyone and I'm going to sort of say, how do you feel about that? And I'm so glad that a lot of you have the same reaction, because I wanted to show you that to sort of open up your mindset about what we're talking about today and about how the bias comes across in a normal situation and it's so unconscious and it's so sort of ingrained in us that actually it's a really good point to sort of show it to you today before the panel and to sort of say, okay, how do you feel about this now? And the theme for International Women's Day in 2022 is Break the Bias. So it's a really good sort of point to open up your mind. So here we have the panel, the amazing panel who are dying to introduce themselves to you. So what I'm going to do is let them introduce themselves to you. If we start with Amina, do you want to start, or Natascha, do you want to start? Right. Amina. I put you on the spot.
To be fair, when I sat here, I said, this is the wrong position. Being in the middle, so I don't get to start or end. Hi, everyone, once again. I'm Amina, and I'm former alumni here.
Hi,
And currently working with HMRC as a compliance officer. Is that all?
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, that's fine. We'll move on to the next point in a minute.
Hello everyone, my name is Yongpian Cai, you can call me Corinne, I'm from China, and I'm not really sure why I'm here as well as a panel speaker, but I hope some of my experience you will get something from it. And I graduated from the university in October 2020, and I worked in China, Cambodia, Czech Republic, and now in the UK. And I'm a marketing manager in a software company now. And I'm also a TED Talk speaker 2019. I have done a TED Talk with the theme of Be Brave and Speak Out, Find Your Own Voice in a Different Culture. And I'm also a dancer. Thank you.
A very good dancer.
That's what I thought. Hello everyone, thanks for being here tonight. My name is Touche. I am the CEO of a small consultancy in geology called Bahar, based in the Wards in Lincolnshire. I originally come from Algeria and I'm a geologist by background. I moved to Lincolnshire in 2005, nearly 17 years ago. I've since taken on responsibility and became CEO of the company and now part owner as well. I have started a senior leader master's degree apprenticeship at Bishop Crossbest University a year and a half ago. I'm really enjoying learning a lot about that side that I used to do on the job, putting words to things I've been doing on a daily basis. And thank you for having me.
Hello, thanks for coming today. I'm excited to see how many supported International Women's Day. Really, it's made me so happy. My name is Bahar Tömek. I am an MBA student with 5 years experience. I'm from Turkey. I'm a passionate person about developing women leadership, female entrepreneurship. So this is the reason why I'm here. End of the day, I will introduce We Are the Change. I'm the founder of We Are the Change. Hopefully it will make more impact for all students, for all female and for all leader candidates who want to really explore this area with collective intelligence. So welcome everybody.
Hi everyone, I'm Arya and I'm a student here at the university. We may discuss later why you found it necessary to clap. Okay, I have I guess a 50-year career history. You can clap now. Initially doing anything that would bring in money, really, everything from bar work to working in a laboratory to banking. And I didn't really think in terms of a career at that stage. But that changed in my early 30s and I became interested in disadvantaged children and young people. So I headed up work in 2 of the big aid agencies, Save the Children Fund and the British Red Cross. Then left there and set up my own business around workforce well-being, and then founded a social enterprise, but now I'm a student.
Hi everyone, I'm Georgia and I'm the founder and CEO of Umii. You might have heard it around campus. I was a student myself. I graduated in 2019 from the University of Leeds, but didn't have the best social experience. So I struggled with loneliness and isolation. So I wanted to kind of combat that issue and get a preventative measure out there. So basically that's what Umii is trying to do. It works with the universities to come in before students ever feel that way by connecting them with people outside of their course, outside of the accommodation, based on things like the interests, the course types, the societies. So they've got the best experience and been able to meet people across campus who they'd never meet before. Just a bit of a background, I did a placement year during my time at university, which got me into startups. I did human geography and sociology, which is nothing to do with startups and business, but that's how I got involved. So yeah, if anyone wants to talk to me about placement years or anything like that, then do reach out.
To follow Georgia, really hard. My name's Charlotte. I am currently a director at Lincoln City Foundation, which is a charity that is affiliated with a football club. There are 72 currently across the UK, so we call them CCOs, they're charitable club organisations. We are completely separate to the football club, but obviously we work really, really closely with them. Funny, just listening to that video, my future mother-in-law said to my partner when I got this job, she must have misheard the job title, and she said to him, "Oh, is she going to be the receptionist?" No, I'm a director. And then she proceeded to ask if we fundraise to buy the next Lincoln City football player. I'd like to dispel that myth as well. Well, truly, that does not happen. It's a charity, that's not what we do. I've had quite a varied career so far. I've worked in economic regeneration, I've worked in education, I've worked in marketing, I did graphic design at University of Newcastle, where I did bar work, and paid my way through studies by working at McDonald's. We've all done it. So quite a lot of experience in a lot of different sectors, public, private and not-for-profit, but also different areas of the business where actually there are some very male-dominated environments, even with what you may feel is the most progressive of organisations. And I'll leave it there for the questions.
Hi. Yeah, thanks for having me today. So my name is Natascha McVeigh. I'm here a lecturer at the business school in marketing, crisis and disaster management. I did my degree in 2016 here, after 10 years German Air Force, so I'm ex-military. I was a corporal and in a male-dominated environment, as you can imagine. I was a flight attendant and we flew regularly to the Middle East and for medical rescue of wounded and fallen soldiers. Yeah, there were times where I went through hell, but yeah, it's challenging times, but there's always strategies how you can overcome challenging times. I'm also a marketing consultant. I always had some businesses. I mean, I'm in business over 20 years. Yeah, so it's quite interesting. So probably it's a lot of food for thought, especially when it comes to biases. Yeah, so we all had some experience in our past, probably with biases, and yeah, see how we can overcome this in the future. Yeah, so thank you for having me, and I'm really honored to be here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much again to our wonderful panel. You all introduced yourself really well, and it's so nice to have you here. Just a little note for the audience, what we're going to do is go through some discussion points with the panel, and they're going to be on the board, so hopefully you can read them, and the panel members will talk among themselves and have a discussion, and then what we're going to do is open the floor up to audience participation. So if you want to think of a question to ask the panel, you are more than welcome to. If you think of anything of the questions that we already asked, then please sort of put your hands up, but there will be a time for audience participation after the panel discussion. So what I'm going to do is start off with a nice easy one to get you all started, and just say, what does International Women's Day mean to you? So, you've got the microphone.
Go on, I'll go. What it isn't, and what it shouldn't be, is a social media sticker collection. And we use that term a lot currently at the foundation and within the football club, because we get invited to be support and endorse a lot of different campaigns, especially around female sports participation. We understand as a charity that something happens to women when they reach 11, 12 years old and they go into secondary school, and physical activity just falls right off the radar. So we champion that quite a lot to make sure that people live happier, healthier lifestyles. But in that as well, there's a lot of around prosperity and how do we make women more prosperous and more successful in business. For me, it's about, I'm a mum, I have 4 children, 2 of my own and 2 stepchildren, so we have quite a busy household. 2 daughters that are 11 and 8. And I suppose I want to make people aware about how inequality can actually make a person feel. This isn't about us all taking our bras off and start burning them any second. That's not what this is about. Actually, I think it's about inequality as a whole, and actually we should be celebrating difference and celebrating diversity. I want them to grow up in a place where actually they won't walk into a meeting room and get a little wink from a male because they think that that's okay. I want them to grow up in an environment where they're known for their job title and their name first and their gender or their race second. And that's the sort of thing that International Women's Day means to me. It's more about celebrating equality as a whole rather than it being a feminist movement.
Yeah. Okay, really connects quite well. I mean, I've just recently read a study from 2019 that men feel threatened on their masculinity when dealing with a female leader or female leader in business. And to compensate, they act a bit more assertive. I mean, that's, I found that very interesting. I mean, it probably depends also on the culture where we come later to. But I mean, the day, International Women's Day, means, I mean, it's a very important day. I celebrate women that smash glass ceilings, you know, and try to overcome barriers and be there. Where nowadays, I had to really smash a lot of glass ceilings in the past and overcome barriers, as you can imagine how it is in an air force with we have like loads of different males. Yes, it's the acknowledgement and the honor of women that contribute to society, each on their own. And yeah, I think it's it's a day to celebrate. Yeah.
Yeah, for me, you know, when you asked the question earlier, I thought about it and I wrote a couple of notes, but it's probably a reminder, not the only day, but the one day in the year where I remind myself that we are still a long way to go as a group, as women. So we've come a long way, we have made a lot of progress, but there's still a lot to go. I know that we are still called a minority, when actually we are not. There are more women on this planet than men. It's maybe the minor part in that is attributed to being a woman, I don't know, but we should stop thinking of ourselves as a minority, we're not. And I think we need to really think about how we're going to achieve our potential and how we're going to transmit that desire, that those aspirations to our children, and make sure that they continue this fight, because it is a fight. So you've spoken about your daughters. It's great. I wish I had daughters. I only had a son, and I think it is also equally important to make sure that I raise my son in a way that he will always be respectful to women. He will understand that, to men as well, but he will understand that we are, yes, we're different. We're two genders, more now, and we just need to live with each other, understand each other, work with each other, support each other, and yeah, always be respectful and be encouraging and supportive of others.
I think for me, it's something about celebrating women, and by that I mean all women, not just us who sit here who are educated, fairly privileged, but what about the women that don't have a voice? And I think if I had one hope for International Women's Day, it would be that it gave a voice to all women, and to celebrate the achievements of all women, and to maybe think very clearly about what action is required to overcome bias, which is often accompanied by poverty. So that for me is what International Women's Day is about, all women.
Yeah, I can talk. For me, it's the celebrating labor of a woman, like how we are adding value in the life, kind of a birthday. Like all women should celebrate exactly wherever we are or whatever we are doing. We exactly to be proud of. We are women. Yes, we are empowered. We are successful. Doesn't need to be like I don't have to be CEO. I don't have to be an entrepreneur. I don't have to have any kind of identity in my life. Just because I am a woman, I am valuable, my thoughts, my ideas are important. So just kind of a remind for the rest of the year from today, we are all so important and valuable in this life for me. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what I feel like as well in terms of the
position that I'm in at the moment. I feel like I've only just got into the kind of the entrepreneur sort of world, and what I'm realising is that you say we're not a minority, but in that world we are, and it's kind of like daunting. And I don't think we should feel that way. I think women should feel empowered to be able to go forward, and if they've got a business idea, go and pitch it, go and ask for funding, go and tell everybody about your idea. I feel like we should feel more empowered to do that. I think it was a stat that like 2% of VC investment goes to women, which is absolutely like crazy. But I think one of the reasons for that is just we've grown up like saying that you're meant to be polite, like you always like boys are always told like go and take risks and things like that when you grow up, and they're always given more like leeway to go and do whatever they want to do. And I think we've grown up thinking, oh, I'm too shy to ask for money, or I don't want to go and I don't want to embarrass myself, or we're always thinking about how we're judged. Yeah, I think for International Women's Day, I feel like we need to make sure that we're not a minority in the tech world, and that's kind of why it's important to me, is that I want us all to feel like if we have an idea, if we have a passion, we should go for it. And I think like you said, it's empowering women and making us feel proud for who we are.
I don't know if you know, but in China, International Women's Day is a half-day holiday for teachers in schools and unis. Yeah? Oh, really? So I feel really happy when it's like International Women's Day, so that we can turn the class become self-study, or we can just finish earlier. That's amazing. But I remember it's also the same day that we will show gratitude to our female teachers, to our mom, to our grandma. We will give them the flowers to say thank you for giving birth to me, thank you for teaching me. And as I'm doing marketing, so I did do some research in the International Women's Day too. So in case you don't know, this year's topic is break the bias. So here's what was written on the website. Imagine a gender equal world, a world free of bias, stereotypes, and discrimination. A world that is diverse, equitable, and inclusive. A world where difference is valued and celebrated. Together, we can forge women's equality. I think that's such a great conclusion of International Women's Day, and that's why we are here to hear each our stories, to hear our difficulties, discuss what kind of challenges that we have met in our life, and how we're gonna change this and stand out and be brave and speak out our own voice. Women's Day is not just today. I think it should stay in our spirits and our lives. And it's an opportunity to inspire others or be inspired. So, and it's also an opportunity to celebrate the achievement of women. Thank you.
Now I feel I probably don't have much to say. Everything has been covered really beautifully by all of you. But all I had to say regarding today is empowerment. The fact that women of different categories, whether they are housewives, working, business, should be recognized and get empowered. When we think about women, we think about the home, we think about our moms who make us breakfast before we go to school, get us ready for bedtime in our PJs. They're ones always making sure there's food stuff. Like, this is how some of us have been brought up to see women and see the nurturing part of them, but do they really get the recognition and appreciation, like the thank you for doing this, or the thank you for molding me into this person that I've become? Because that is a picture that has been described about a woman. A woman is the one person who is responsible for bringing other people up. So for today, it's a day that I would most likely be calling my mom, because I haven't done that yet, to say thanks, Mom. And also to say thanks to my sister and all the amazing women in my life who I've learned one or two things from. And of course, my friends, which I did send a message today to tell them I really appreciate them for being friends and everything. So I guess it's a day of just saying thank you and recognizing all the hard work and soft work that women contribute into the world.
I was just going to say, I think there's something, I know somebody touched on being, using it to inspire others. I don't think there's anybody sat on this panel today that says that we've got all the answers, or that we're not likely to face challenge again. I think we've all got our own experiences outside of the panel, you guys as well, around difference and things like that. But I suppose it's a way of how do we use something like International Women's Day to inspire people to stand up for themselves and realise that they have a voice. I'm in HR as well, so I read an awful lot of articles that come through my emails. I find them quite fascinating. And I think there's a statistic, I can't remember it, but I'm sure it's around men are 33% more likely to negotiate a higher salary than women. They have that voice, they have that feeling that actually, you know, if I can ask that really bold question.
And I also look for, like, just in a job application, yeah. You think, oh, you know, I can do it. With women, yeah, as a woman, you're like, oh, can I do this? And you really flick the whole thing apart, and can I do each element, you know, and then it's, yeah.
We mentioned something downstairs, didn't we, about language that we even use ourselves and what we've got used to. And you know, change doesn't happen overnight, and this, I think, is where we need to inspire each other to actually make that change, that generational change for equality. If a man's assertive, he's a leader. If a woman's assertive, she's bossy. And it's that language that we just need to change, I think, and that won't happen overnight. It will take a long time. But I think when we talk about inspiring people, it's just about those small changes, like those nudge behaviours, just so actually everybody's just celebrated for who they are, but everybody has a voice.
Yeah, the study, yeah, I just want to come back to the study. The study actually said that when a woman has a more administrative or a collaborative leadership style, then she faces less backlash. So, is it us who have to change, or is it like a sort of, yeah, it's quite interesting to know. That's like what is expected from us. Yeah.
I think we need to be careful as well that not everything's a sexist comment. I think we need to be really aware, actually, sometimes a comment is probably really fair and just. It's the men are from Mars, women are from Venus thing for me. 2 cars travelling, couples in each, and they've both been on the road the same amount of time, and in one car, the man's hungry, and he says, I'm hungry, should we stop at the next services? In the other car next door, the woman's hungry, and she'll say, are you hungry, should we stop at the next services? And I remember once reading that, when I got some time ago now, showing my age, thinking, oh, that's because we've got more empathy, or we've got a better nurturing spirit, or things like that. Actually, I'm going to turn that around now. Actually, maybe we're just really good in manipulating the situation to get what we want.
Yeah, I don't know if I have anything else to add to that. I do like the point that you said that we shouldn't take everything as a sexist comment, I think, but it's really, really hard for us to, well, for everybody to understand, like, if it is meant to be as an offence or anything, because I think it's kind of engraved in society, really, and what we don't realise is it's like, I can't explain it. So, like, for example, I won App of the Year award. Well, Umii won App of the Year award last year, and I think I was speaking to someone, and I know it's not, it's generalising or something, but I was speaking to a man about it when I put a LinkedIn picture on, and his first comment was, instead of like saying congratulations, he was like, oh, you screw up well, don't you? And I was just like, wow, like, It's just, but then you're thinking, am I overthinking that's a bad comment? I think it's hard. I think we all just maybe need to have to think about what we're saying. I know it's hard, we're all human, we all make mistakes, and we all say things wrong, like we are going to do that. But I think it's just understanding, like, yeah, is it a sexist comment, or is it just kind of engraved in society and we don't really notice it and we're going to have to just put up with it? I don't know if I'm making sense there, or, do you know? Yeah.
Okay.
Anyone wants to?
I'm just going to move the discussion on because we sort of went into the other questions that we're going to ask as well. So what I'll do is I'll just move the one on, and a lot of our panel here today are in an industry that could be considered male-dominated. Has that been a driving force in your career, and how important was that in securing your role? So did you just sort of fall into a male-dominated industry? Did you strive for change to get into that? Was it a part of your job sort of making decision, or was it just, I'm in it now and now I can talk about it?
I would love to start because I am working since 5 years only with women. I have no male, any manager, any CEO in my life, because it was incredible. Like, we are all feeling relaxed in the same time, but like with different leaders, so they are already hard. But also, it's I would love to say here, it's hard to work with women because we doesn't know how to support each other in business life, how to open a door for each other. So it's hard. It was really hard, but it was good experiences because now I'm feeling I can't work with someone male in the company. It's for me. It's looked like so hard. I need to break this bias as well for myself because since 5 years, even with the sponsorship, with the all projects, and with all companies which is I work, there was no any male. So, and we were working for female entrepreneurship and women leadership. So strangely, there was no men. Yes, there was some supporter, but it wasn't kind of the inside of the house. So it is kind of strange feeling. But I was lucky because it was in the same time it was really good feeling, but it was hard also.
I initially worked in banking and in science, which was definitely male-dominated. I then moved into the charity sector. I would say probably 80% of the workforce were women, but they didn't hold leadership roles. Most of the leadership was men. And actually, it's interesting that now I find in research, the area of research which I'm in now, it's also male-dominated, that actually female-led research is less likely to be published. I think what I've found is that, you know, one of my character traits is bravery. And I'm quite good at, if something is not fair, then I will challenge it. But what I've learned is that actually, while I may go in for the fight with all my weapons, I often forgot to have a shield. And I think, like lots of women, I got hurt by the fight. And I would say to all of you women, fight, but make sure you've got your shield as well to protect yourself. We can talk some more about that later.
Yes, it's an interesting question because for me, it hasn't, being a woman and being born in a country where there were women's rights were kind of a bit behind, still a bit behind, hasn't only kind of led me to be in an industry where that is male-dominated, it has also led me to move out of my country and to immigrate to the UK. And I think it kind of dictates still today a lot of the things I do. Yes, I understand Maureen with being angry and wanting to change things. You know, for me, it was really because I wanted to break those chains. I wanted the freedom. I wanted to be able to do the same as what my male colleagues could do. Basically, that's why I ended up being in geophysics and getting into geology and the oil industry. It is a very, very dominated environment, and it's a place where, when you are a young woman, back in whatever that was in the 90s, it was a matter of manning up, basically. It was a time where these expressions were still around. You just get on with it. But then, thinking back at it, back a few years ago when the Me Too movement started, I reflected on this and on my kind of experience in the oil industry. Despite all its failings and all the issues with the environment and everything else, I think the oil industry, because it is a male-dominated environment, probably, has been actually very good to me as a woman. I've never really felt a lot of sexist comments or anything like that. I suppose it was a matter of, if you made it or this far, you're probably okay. You're part of the club now. I think that's how it feels. So still a lot to do. Most of women in the oil industry or in this type of kind of scientific jobs are still not in the the highest levels. So kind of there are less and less women. We are a minority in this industry, but then there are less and less women the higher managerial positions you get. But it's a good place to be in. It kind of builds your character. You then kind of look at other things and you realize that it is a change that is happening. It is something that we have to all contribute to, and women will have a better role in society, or better, will have more consideration for their roles in society, regardless of what they do, whether they are, they want to be on the radio, or they want to look after their children at home, or they want to be in HR, or whatever they want to do. And I think that's the most important thing.
I didn't go on a mission to go into a male-dominated environment. Just kind of took jobs that I thought looked really interesting and were a bit of a new personal challenge more than anything. I know there's a bit of a thing at the moment around, I just hate it when organisations set themselves targets to employ more women or to be more diverse. I just think it's awful. I just make it really clear that I never, ever, ever want to be given a job because I'm a woman. I want to be given it because I'm the best person for that job, and that is it. But unfortunately, we've almost flipped, haven't we? And we've got so eager to break down the barriers that actually we're potentially putting people in a little bit of firing line if they're not even the right person for the right jobs. And that's got nothing to do with gender. It's got everything to do with skills and your experiences that you bring. So I think there's something in that. Working really closely with the football club and working under the Lincoln City brand. Yes, public facing. The first team is obviously all males, and a lot of the coaching staff and the first team management side of things, yes, they are all male. But actually behind the scenes, I would say we're pretty evenly split. Actually, I've just been sat here just trying to think about it in my head, and I would say we're quite evenly split and diverse. Was definitely split in gender, diversity definitely with the different skills that we all bring. I don't think at where I work that we would ever discriminate, or if somebody was coming, if they wanted to be, let's Karen Brody, then let's, I don't think that would stop anybody. We're quite progressive in the way that we think, but we're probably perceived. I think it's perception, and sometimes that's the barrier. It's what people think is a male-dominated environment because they see that very public-facing kind of side of things. But actually, if they did a bit of research behind the scenes, they'd realise actually how diverse we are as a staff team. So I think it's the perception sometimes that we need to get over. Anybody needs to get over, not just women, and to fully understand what's happening behind the scenes in a workplace. And actually, gender stuff isn't the major cultural issues that workplaces have.
Yeah. Obviously, when I was introducing myself from the beginning, I didn't talk about maybe the previous course that I studied. So basically, I studied business, ended up working in an insurance company, in accounting and finance. So my whole life has been numbers, which for some funny reason I love. And I meet a number of females who are they don't like anything to do with numbers, they just like the reading bit. So I've ended up spending quite a lot of time with males because they are the people that I mostly work with. And some have been amazing because they either learn one or two and wonder why a female like me would strive for the things that I'm doing. There are times that I've been to the gym, which is something that I used to like doing, still struggling to do. And you have gym instructors saying something about what's your motivation? You are here every time, like, you know, because they think that it's a male-dominated area. But if we look today now, you go to the gym, males and females, like all genders are actively working out. So the times and everything is changing. But basically, I've been the kind of person who never felt held back. I don't know why, but maybe the environment in which I was raised in, my parents probably didn't make me feel that whatever I was doing wasn't for females and was for males. But at the same time, I was born a Muslim. So what you realize is that growing up as a Muslim, you tend to have certain cultures, depending on where you are, defining what you should be able to do and what you should be striving to achieve. So that could be a major setback and holdback for some people. But if you are within a support and family that is uplifting you, then it makes it easier for you to see the world differently. So which is probably one of the reasons why I still moved on in the male-dominating area, which I still am in, and I'm wondering why, which I wasn't entirely surprised when I joined my new role, and I and another person were just the two females on the team. I was like, okay, brilliant, let's see how this goes. But I believe that sometimes if you are in a role and there are other females who aspire to be like you probably just need to remind them that it's doable in a very soft tone. Because sometimes you have, when I was working as the VP International, you sometimes have students asking you, how's your job? How do you do it? Is it possible to do it? As a woman who is trying to inspire other women, that is when you have to remind them that, yeah, of course you can. Just give them that edge and motivation, because I think what I notice in life is people sometimes are just scared of doing certain things. They feel either they are not good enough or they are not capable of doing it, and they just need someone to push them and tell them to move on, and knowing that they wouldn't fall or leap or fall. Even if they do, they would still be able to come back to the top. And I take this quote from a Nigerian artist that recently sold out in the O2, which said, we rise by lifting others. And I feel that as women, that is what we should do. When we rise, then we need to remember that there are other people who need to be lifted so that we can also rise. Thanks.
Yeah, okay, so I was in the German Air Force, as I said earlier, very male-dominated, very tough environment. So there were times where I really had to pretend to be tough and determined, where it was very, very challenging. If I would conclude, I would say it was a positive experience, even with all the challenges. I had times where a higher officer took my finger, dunked it in his coffee, licked it off and said, here, the coffee is cold. So these are the things, how do you react, you want to give me one on what's going on here, yeah? So, there are always challenges. I always had to, try to be tough, yeah? So, in the end, I was accepted as a colleague and I was accepted as a leader. I mentioned this before, not here, but before I received a gold award for military proficiency, an award which recognized the soldiers' moral and physical standards, weapon qualifications, and that's something not everyone gets. Yeah, so some people get bronze or silver or gold. I really had to challenge myself, show a lot of determination and self-love, yeah, to overcome all these challenges. Yeah, I mean, I learned a lot. I can say that. And we always have like other colleagues who are like soldiers who are very supportive and really helped you out. But there are some biases for some men, and it's always a challenge of like how do you react to someone who comes in a sexual way, or like is, you know, like yeah, you feel intimidated and you feel weak sometimes, and you don't know, you know, how can I handle this situation? But as long we overcome these situations and rise ourselves and, you know, and come through the situation, I think that's the main thing. I mean, I've never planned to go to the Air Force, and my friend said, you know, you really, fitness is good, so I think you're a great fit, come and join, and that's how I mistakenly slipped into this environment. Same as here, I never planned to be a lecturer. It's always somebody who helps you, to lift you, and gives you a last push and say, come, you're good, you can do it. Yeah, so I think that was my word to some discussion of Charlotte.
Perfect, thank you. The next...
Sorry. I just want to say there is actually a change in my career. So before I was working in an online real estate platform in an Australian group, which has its office in Cambodia, quite complicated. So I noticed that the bosses, managers, the website developer, most of them are males. And as a woman, we don't have much opportunity to get involved in the decision making at that time. And I just started my career at that time. I don't want to lose my job. So I'm afraid to fail and to be judged whether my suggestion is stupid or they don't really care. So I just follow what the boss or manager said, and without thinking too much. So I guess that is quite a negative experience for me. And I never think of that before. I get this question to my email inbox, which is quite surprising. And now I'm working in a software company now called Have a Control. And the same thing is, most of them are males, like software designers, engineers. However, while the women are more like marketing in HR or admin stuff. And however, I find it now, probably I have more experience now, and I would love to get involved in the decision making, and I would love to join the discussion. I want to tell them my ideas. If I think this is a good idea, then I give them the proof and evidence and the figure. And yeah, they will listen to me. So, and I also get the support from the management team as well. So I think that is quite a big change for me. And actually, I just have my performance review like a month ago. I told my bosses, I said, I enjoy working in marketing, but at the same time, I want to get to know more about the technical side. I want to grow my career in more technically, in more technical knowledge stuff, and then get to the core, to the business of the business. And I got support from them, and then they arranged a lot of training for me and recommend me some books, stuff, which is amazing. So I think there is two ways, two things, really. One is whether we ourselves, we want to change in our environment. And secondly is the environment, whether we can get support from the company, from the people around you. And like Amina just said, sometimes we just need a bit of push from the people around you, or maybe just yourself. So what makes me really change between this, from silence to be brave to speak out. I think firstly is the experience. I feel like I'm more knowledgeable now. I feel I can speak out my ideas now. And then I think secondly is the environment. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, guys. I will move on to these next points because I think we probably have covered this. So if anyone wants to add anything about assumptions that have been made about females in the workplace, so have you come across anything yourself, or perhaps have you seen any situations where it's an assumption about a female? I think you might have covered about what would you change and what education do you think is needed in the workplace, but if anyone has anything to add before we move on to the next point, then please feel free.
What point are you moving on to?
Moving on to cultural differences in the workplace.
Okay. I think one of the things I say, you know, having the opportunity to work around the world as I did, there are vast differences in how women are perceived and how women are treated globally. But there are also lots of similarities, and the main ones I think are that women tend to be the primary caretakers, which has a significant impact, yeah. And women tend to take on the key role when it comes to change or to be dealing with really challenging circumstances. And I think we're seeing a lot of that in the newsreels at the moment. But interestingly, and I'll come back to you clapping when I told you I was a student, maybe we need to reflect on why you felt that was necessary. But I think the biggest differences I'm seeing is how older women are perceived by society. In many countries in the Southern Hemisphere, older women are seen of value, are seen as making a contribution to society. That's not necessarily the case here in the West. Older women tend not to be seen as quite so vibrant or making a contribution. And interestingly, that can be life-threatening. Yeah? You ask yourself, when you look at the Harold Shipman case, how come 200 women were murdered and nobody investigated it? It was because they were older women. And they weren't seen as maybe quite as valuable or not seen as making a contribution. Maybe it's just, it was their time to die. I don't know. But I think there are issues for me around how older women are perceived in society as well. So,
despite the modesty being the head of state.
Do any of the other panels have sort of experience? I know you're not as an older woman, but in terms of the cultural differences, are there differences in your own countries? For those of you who aren't in the UK, there are differences in how you're seen in the workplace compared to the UK?
Definitely some cultural differences. I think we have like some masculine cultures or some feminist cultures. Where, you know, like Sweden and Norway, a bit more feminist culture. So here, it's the fluid, it's different, yeah? So it's just a different culture. I mean, from my experience, I feel like, yeah, there's cultural differences, but some biases are, both are similar in different countries and across industries. So that's definitely the case. So, it's a masculine culture, and the man is more expected, you know, materialistic and show success and determination, assertiveness, and in women culture or feminist culture, family culture, it's the balance which is different. Yeah, so culture has definitely influenced. Amina,
Did I? Sorry. So I think where I come from, Ghana, and amongst like a couple of African countries, women are not necessarily seen to be ambitious. You are not supposed to be ambitious. You are supposed to, do the bare minimum, or maybe get somewhere and then stay there so the men can take over. But a couple of years now, I'm sure a lot of you would agree with me that this is changing. Women have seen the need to be able to do the things that they want to do. If it's a business they want to set up and run, they've seen the need to be able to do that. Because I remember my mom wanted to run a business and my dad said no. My dad did tell her to stay home and take care of his kids, so he would bring the money. But at a point in time, she didn't. So I feel sometimes my inspiration comes from my mom, because she didn't listen to him. She still went ahead to run her business, which she's still running. And it got to a part where he couldn't work due to illness, and she was funding everything in the house. So the roles switched, and he didn't like it. What you know about men from certain parts of Africa is they do have ego, and they believe that they are supposed to provide for the family, not the other way around, which is why women are not supposed to be as ambitious as they want to be. But this is changing, thankfully, maybe with the celebration of International Women's Day and women knowing that, oh, I can be better, I can go grab the world and make it my oyster. So I feel that that has been one. For me, let me see, I'm just trying to think. There are instances where sometimes guys feel that you shouldn't tell them what to do on the job, because they feel that you shouldn't be telling me this, my boss or manager, but maybe I am supposed to be supervising this person to do the job, but just because I'm a female, I shouldn't be telling them what to do. But unfortunately for them, and fortunately for me, I am the female that believes that I should be able to do my job irrespective of who I'm telling to do the job. So I still go ahead, but it becomes really annoying when you sit back and you do your reflections and you feel that, oh, this person spoke to me that way because I'm a female. So it brings us back to the point about what do we do on this day to make the struggles and challenges that women are facing come to light, which would be probably training, making people aware, the bias, the mind being unconscious, doing some of these things that they don't necessarily know that is wrong. So hopefully, if the mind is being tampered with and being told that this is wrong and this is right and this is the way you should go about it, we will most likely be able to get to another point where things get better.
I'm going to try and be a bit positive.
I just realized that I never say thank you, so thank you for this one.
I don't know. I think, yes, there's some scary stories, aren't there, out there at the moment, and there's definitely there's been some awful crimes committed in the last 12 months in terms of females and female violence. But actually, the world is changing. I don't think there's ever been a better time to be a woman. I genuinely don't. I feel that people are listening, and actually, as much as I'm not a big social media goer, actually there is a benefit in that. Look how communications are trying to be managed in certain countries at the moment to get their message across. But actually, the pressure, because of things like social media and technology, other countries are under pressure, I would say. There's a lot of discussion at the moment around Qatar and the World Cup and their human rights records. That pressure would never have existed 10 years ago, 20 years ago, because actually then we didn't have that knowledge, we didn't have that platform to be able to understand what was going on. I genuinely think in the UK, there's never been a better time to be a woman, because actually we're proving we can do it. And going back to what you said about actually the best way to kind of prove that we're good is just to be good. Don't worry about trying to, don't be on a campaign or a mission. Actually just concentrate on what you want to do. I think I believe Coco Chanel said something around a woman can do two things, and that's everything and anything she wants to be. And I think that's what we need to sometimes focus on rather than getting bogged down with potentially, I think, there's no barriers.
Then you have to push yourself out of your comfort zone and do that regularly. You all do that regularly. We seem maybe really strong and tough, but inside we all have our weaknesses. So but we can if we want to. We just have to be determined.
I like to be positive.
Yeah. I think, sorry, I'm muting myself. I think you've all made some really good points. Sorry, Miriam, do you want to?
Yeah, I just wanted to, just say, just tell you a little story, a very short one, make it short. I do come from Algeria, from North Africa. We talked about Africa, it's a Muslim environment, it's a Mediterranean environment, and all that what comes with it. I used to walk in the street and whistles and people telling me to go home and wash the dishes, things like that. That's how I grew up. But then, for me, the worst experience I had was the one that I had just a few years ago. I was representing a UK business in a business trip organized by the bank, and it was a competition, a business competition. And we went on this business trip to the UAE in Dubai, very Las Vegas-like environment in Dubai. And the aim of the trip was to kind of not confront really, but to kind of mix and network and between cultures. So it was British businesses coming there, talking to local businesses about how we do business in the UK. So I was the only female representative from the UK group. So all the other 29 business owners from the UK were guys. The event was organized by Big Band, one of the major 3 or 4, and all of their staff, all of their people, but one, were guys. All of their bank managers were male, from Canary Wharf and all that. And the only female staff that were there were hospitality staff. And there was actually one guy, and he was very camp. And I thought that the image that we gave of the British businesses was really bad. I was only British then, a few years. I've been a foreigner here, still some foreigner, and always will be. But I felt there that day a bit ashamed to be representing British businesses, especially because a lot of the discussions there were about how do we do business in the UK, how do we encourage female contribution to business, and I felt it was really appalling. I had to say it, I did say it, and I did get apologies from the organisers from the bank, but the fact was that we were there lecturing others on how we should be doing things, when actually we were showing the worst of it. And I mean, I was the only female, and I was Muslim, it was when I was born. The other, the people from other countries, the young woman from Toyota, representing Toyota from Saudi Arabia, she was the manager, but she couldn't struggle on her own. She had to come with 2 other colleagues. She was the manager, but she had her 2 colleagues because she couldn't travel on her own. And she was in this room with all these guys from British background that I'm not in. So cultural differences can be, we need to look at them and we need to make sure that we do it right.
Yeah, absolutely. Does anyone have anything else to add before? Okay. Thank you, guys. I think that was So I think a lot of things came out of that, and one that struck me was actually to be a woman is about supporting other women. and that it's important that if there are any situations we find ourselves in, that we do have the confidence to step forward and to be able to say, no, that's not right, and to allow ourselves to do that. I think it's really important to have that community of other women to fall back on and to support each other in saying, no, she's right, that is how we're going to do this. And I want to carry on with Charlotte's point that it is a positive thing. It is to be alive as a woman in the UK at the moment is an amazing thing. There's so many countries that don't have that sort of platform to be able to be like, okay, I'm a woman, I work in business. There's so many third world countries that we can't sort of have that empowerment. And actually to be a woman in the UK is an amazing thing, and we should all take on that sort of empowerment and be able to support each other in doing so. I want to let the audience have any questions. If you do have any, it could be for a specific panel member or for a question in general for the panel, for the room. Does anyone have any questions? I will run up to you with a microphone. You do? Okay. You do. I'm going to steal your microphone and then hopefully you can pass that one. Do you want to introduce yourself as well to the room?
Yeah, so I work at the university. I firstly just wanted to say, I'll be honest, I wasn't expecting to come to this event, but I'm so glad I did. And I want to say thank you to everyone who presented and gave their experiences. So it got me thinking, you know, Natascha, you spoke about this, these barriers that shouldn't be here. And I totally agree. And I think a lot of these are perceived barriers. And I just wanted to speak on behalf of the men in this room who don't see these barriers. And actually they don't consider gender as a thing. You know, we just look at the ability of a person based on their skill, their experiences. And I would say that from my own experience, you know, in my working life, my managers and my line managers have all been women. And to me, that it's not a consideration. It's totally about what experience that person has to bring to the room, not based on gender at all. And I totally celebrate diversity. So in my day-to-day work, I work with international students, people from totally different cultures, races, backgrounds, male, female, anything in between. And I love that. And I absolutely want to see more of that. And when I think about my own experiences, I mean, I'm gay, I also have a disability, so I kind of empathise and I get what it's like to be a minority. But I also think, who wants to be a majority anyway? You know, what is normal? So I think being a minority is such a great thing. And I just wanted to say that, you know, from all the groups in this room, including men, I'm sure there are people out there that actively want to support women and want to see women do well. So thank you.
Anyone else in the
I want to know what event you did think you was doing.
Do you want to put your hands up? Yep. Okay. What I'll do is I'll work my way back up the stairs. So if you want to go first, and then I'll come up there. That's okay.
Ladies, I just want to thank you very much for a very interesting evening. It was my son that got me the ticket today, so I thank him as well. But I would like to ask a question. You know, you spoke about older ladies in business and in general. I went through a period of about 5 years ago. I did used to work for the university. I left the university and I've since moved on into community work, etc. But going through the menopause and how men deal with that within the workplace, I don't know if you've seen about Sadiq Khan. I just don't know if we're just giving lip service to it again, or whether or not it is. You feel that it's actually changing. What's your view on that?
Oh gosh, I think it's changing. You know, I I can remember people thought that because I menstruated and then I went through the menopause that somehow or other I couldn't be a leader because I was a bit erratic and mental and all sorts of things. No, I think it's great that we've spoken about openly. In fact, one of the last contracts I did was teaching about the menopause awareness in an FE college, and it was great that there were lots of men there, including, you know, because actually menopause impacts on the workforce. So I think it's good that people will talk about these things.
Actually, a good example. My husband is in an air conditioning business, and I've seen from Mitsubishi an advertisement that promotes basically having an air conditioning in the workplace, you know, to cool down women in the menopause. You know, show your care sort of thing. Yeah. So I thought that was quite interesting, quite unusual. Now it's like a problem was addressed, but also promoting the air conditioning.
I absolutely love air conditioning. I'm so hot all the time. But you know what? It's one of those things where you think, well, is that a reasonable adjustment for coming into work? We have reasonable adjustments for people with additional needs, so maybe that's one to think about for females in the future.
So we need to save the planet as
Well, maybe a paper fan would do. Carla, did you have a...
I think it's important that we don't just talk about, we don't just write it in policy. I'm a bit of a governance nerd, so I apologise, and I'm in the process. And we're going through a governance commission at the minute, like an audit. And I very often challenge back, well, just because there's a line about it in policy doesn't mean to say we do it. Actually, where's the evidence that we actually do it? And that's something else entirely in an organisation and in business. It starts from the top, but it has to be all the way down.
I think it's worse than that. I think in a lot of workplaces, people hide behind policies and procedures. They actually forget that it's about fairness and kindness.
I would say policy is a framework. There is so much flexibility in that. It's absolutely.
But the number of people I've met that forget that we're talking about human beings.
I'll work my way up the stairs.
Hi, I just want to say thank you for today. It's been really amazing. It's been close enough to the microphone. It's been really inspiring. I just had a question, but before I say it, I just want to mention that I don't think femininity is necessary. You have to be feminine to be a woman. I just wanted to mention that first. But as a woman that really enjoys her femininity and likes to express it, I just wondered how you guys thought that changed, because talking to older women in my life, they always mentioned that to be a leader, you kind of had to present as a man, like really just become this masculine presence. And I'd like to hope that that's changing. And I just wondered what you guys thought about that.
I would agree. I think it's women that are changing the workplace and business. And I think what we're showing, hopefully, is that it's okay to be strong and to be vulnerable. And hopefully, people can see the value of that, and that actually being compassionate and kind isn't a sign of weakness.
That's what we need. Empathy. So leaders or leadership that shows empathy, being an ethical leadership style.
I think this whole thing of women are really changing things in the workplace. But I
think
do
it should
think
be part of the recruitment process. They're looking at unconscious bias, maybe.
I think I struggled quite a lot when I first took on the side as CEO. It's only been like 2 years. That I really struggle with emotions. I'm quite an emotional person, and I, like you, I do really like to express my femininity. But I really so if something upsets me, I can't hide it. And I suppose I think that we're always told that we should hide it, and like you said, like if you're taking on a leadership role, we should be hiding from everybody like who we're working with, that we don't feel that way. So I think I struggle to be like that, and I've got to the point now where if I feel a certain way, I should express it. I think it's the other way around. Like we tell, like men struggle with expressing their emotions. They should be able to express their emotions as much as women express their emotions. It's not the other way around in the fact that you shouldn't express your emotions in the workplace. And I do understand that you can't cry in every meeting. You're not going to get everything done, but I mean, if you feel so passionate about something, you should show that. And if that's the way that you show that passion, then that's fine. But I think that's the way I've been struggling with it. But I think, yeah.
I am also so against being a leader as a man, because you don't need to follow their rules. Like I'm trying to, like researching these days, being woman leader, but all books and all research showing like how to be a leader as a man, because all books written by the men. So like lead as a woman is important, and I think it will come soon in the literature, hopefully, because we have different kind of feelings, thoughts, and this is making our everything special. So we need to use, and we need to bring all those skills into our leadership. So nothing should be as a man or masculine. We can cry, or we can have a pain in the meeting because of our period. We can have our menopause. So everything is normal. So also, as the friend said, there's no normal. Everything is for humans. So it's all human beings, I think.
I think that was I think that was the case a few years ago. I would say that maybe women were trying to look a bit more like men, to be accepted in that role of the leader, or in that role of engineer, or in that role of mechanics, whatever it is, that is perceived to be a man's job. I don't think it's the case anymore. I think this is a bit thanks to more women being in those roles, and showing that we just need to be yourself. It doesn't matter if you whatever you want to wear, whatever you want to jewelry you want to put on, it's your personality, and whether you're a man or a woman, you're allowed to express your personality in your clothes, in the way you speak, in the way you walk. It's your own. It doesn't stop you from being whatever you want to be or achieve whatever you want to do.
I'll just say, create your own style. It's yours, you own it, and that's what's going to make you unique and different from other leaders. We may believe that there are different types and styles of leadership, but I think leadership is within you and how you intend to carry that out. So, I mean, back in the days, we always were meant to believe that when you need to wear, you need to wear toned down colors, which is black, brown, and blue. But what we're seeing today, I mean, you can be all leader and turn up in pink suits and green, just name it. So it's what makes you comfortable, because that's what's going to make you more confident and do what you have to do as a leader.
I actually done a research before. So men, when they making a decision in the management team, they tend to go for the more risky option, while women, they tend to be like think twice, think a lot more considerate about the decision that they make. So I guess it's not about trying to learn to be more male feature, but to work with male. Where if the male, they tend to go to be more risky stuff. We tend to be more considerate. Why we don't work together to make the best choice? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that stems back to the rise of women is not about the fall of men, and that it's all about learning from each other and taking the best elements out of leadership and what your industry needs and what your company needs, and taking the best elements, whether that's male or female, gender fluid, it's everything, and it's your own personality, and it's all about learning from each other. Who was next on the questions?
Thank you. Thank you very much to everybody on the panel. It's been a really great evening. So I'm a senior lecturer at the university, actually in the School of Psychology, but I teach statistics. So I was so excited when Amina said, I love numbers, because I also love numbers. But something happens to young females at school where they decide that they can't do maths, or science is not for them, or technology is not for them. I was told by my geography teacher at secondary school that geography is not a topic for girls, so it didn't matter that I wasn't doing well. And I want to know, what can we do, what can I do, and all of us do to be able to encourage young females that numbers are for them, and if that's what they want to pursue, that they are able to do it.
So, I was just gonna, you're asking a question, and I was thinking that what we should do is make pink Legos. I don't think we have made pink Legos, but I call it the problem, the pink problem. I know, because I have a little boy, that all children, when they are very young, they like pink. I think it's just a color that we like, and we associate it maybe with the strawberries, with food, with the color of skin, whatever. We all like pink, but then we get to an age where we tell boys that they shouldn't like pink, they should be the girls' color. And then you go to a toy shop, and then you have all this pink aisle with babies and pushchairs, and baby dolls and pushchairs, and all those things that you're supposed to do. So we already condition women young women, to go towards that. And then you have all the rest, all the other colors, and there are a lot of interesting games, a lot of Legos, a lot of Minecraft, a lot of stuff, but it's not pink, and pink is the girl's color, so we gravitate towards that, and I think that is where the problem is. It's not even at school, I think it's even earlier than that, it is done. Because this is how we learn when we are very young, by playing, and with games with the toys and games that we have as little girls, for little girls, are just shocking.
I shared my experience of being a student in school psychology. There was a number of girls and actually really quite scared of statistics. And I have to say, the library here at the university was absolutely amazing in terms of helping me to overcome that fear. And I was supported in playing with numbers and being introduced to numbers and statistics in ways that were relevant and accessible and that I could use immediately. But alongside that, there was constant reassurance that actually, if I got it wrong, the whole thing wouldn't completely self-destruct and things like that. So I think all of those approaches are key when you're introducing people to number, whatever their age.
I mean, I think it's how we teaching our children. I mean, my daughter, she plays rugby, yeah, so she's 8. She wants to play rugby. I said, if you want to play rugby, you play rugby. Now they're calling her the booty cat, because she is a bit like me, go forward more, and then nobody can catch her. I mean, I think it's all about, it's a changing. I mean, you said, with like kids are, that's not good for that, and that's not good for you. If I would have listened to people who told me I'm not good enough, I mean, I had a very difficult childhood. I was told, you're not intelligent enough, and you're stupid and things like that. So it's about what you become and you believe that sort of thing. And it's how we actually teach our children. I think that's the way forward. And it's changing. I mean, the generations are changing, and we tend to change our parents' told us, and they are coming more in after World War II, they got taught differently, and I think it will be better in the future generations.
Just because we both love numbers, I think that if people or kids growing up who love numbers know that it's okay to love numbers. It's fine to love numbers, or it's fine to read. I used to stay in the toilet to read because at a certain age in my life, I enjoyed reading. And what did my dad do? He made sure he was constantly buying books for me to read because I said these were the books that I wanted to read. And I became friends with a librarian because I take books and within the same day or next day, I'm taking the books back and she was wondering, are you really reading these books? And asking me questions. And I'm
I'm like, yeah. So she took this liking to me to say, oh, this is an interesting kid, you know, but I found my happiness because the librarian was always supporting me and giving me those things. That isn't to say you don't have a dad or a mom, but the key thing is still to have the support around to know that you can always find someone to say, yes, you can do it, and these are the materials that you need, these are the resources that you need. Having that community, which could be online, because that is the world that we currently live in now, or which could be in person. And I mean, if it's within the university, it could be like the societies and groups and networks that we have, having people who love the same thing and have the same passion, always meeting together and feeling that it's really okay to be this kind of person, and there's nothing weird about loving numbers or wanting to read alone and just getting that growth and development out there. I think that's what will make people, move towards the direction that they have interest and passion for. So maybe that's something we could start thinking of doing. Find out who loves numbers. If people say yes, then they sign up.
Thank you. Sorry, it's a long point. And I think most of the panel speakers already cover the point, but the other one point that I think is very important is to set up an example for the young people. So if, for example, Amina, she's very good at number, you're very good at number, then tell people that I'm very good at number, how can I get through this journey, how can I break through all the barriers of people telling me that I'm not very good at maths and I'm not intelligent enough. If we can deliver the message to the young people that there are people out there that actually experience similar situation as you, and you are the one that will already at this successful point, they will get inspired. They just need this life up and this successful example to help them, to inspire them. So I guess, like, one of the things that I do is that I will do some YouTube video, and as an amateur YouTuber as well, I just share my experience to people and just hoping that I can help some of them.
Thank you. Questions?
Hi everybody, and thank you for forgiving me as I walked in late to this gathering. I thought I was meant to be in another room like the gentleman who spoke earlier. There's actually another International Women's Day at the atrium. Yeah. I walked in late because I'm a mom. I've been to work. I've picked up the kids. I've fed them. I've picked up my car and I've dashed down here. Intentional to attend this, well, one of this kind of meeting. My husband booked me in and we've got tickets for two so he could attend as well. But everything we've said today, more so what the lady before me had said about, encouraging children, is because the answer to the International Women's Day is in the International Woman herself. We are the solution we want to, we're the solution to the problem we want to solve, if that makes sense. We're the sister, we're the mom, we're the teachers, we're the nurses, we're the doctors, we're the international women. My dad paid a huge price for me to be an international woman. I went to the best school he could afford. He didn't wear the best clothes, he didn't earn the highest salaries, but he sacrificed a lot for me to be an international woman. I went to a school in Nigeria called Queen's College. My school was founded in 1927, pre-colonization. So a lot of things, our principals and the women before us had seen so much. But it was a school for girls to make us international women. Stand tall, be polite, and be the best that you can. We're very taught to be women. We climb trees, we scale the gates to do lots of things like girls did. But we were taught to actually aim for that ceiling that did not exist. So when you're talking about bias, women subconsciously nurtured bias. And our children, we tell them, you're a girl, sit straight, don't chew with your mouth, boys don't do that. Close your legs, don't play with those kind of toys, and don't go for that kind of sports and stuff like that. Subconsciously, because it's what our the women before us did and sipping through. But we have to happily, like the lady said, this is the best time to be a woman, where you can see change in your own time. I'm thankful because I'm not just reading it in books, we're actually living it in reality. We're CEOs. I'm actually a co-founder of an app as well. I'm very motivated, I'm tired, I'm stressed out. I don't even think it's possible, but I know nothing is impossible, so I still keep going. But I want to say that we can be that change that we're advocating. We don't have to be very feminine about things. We can just be who we are in our own individual selves. And tell the next person, it's okay to be you. Whether you're going through menopause or you're having a period, let's be kind, let's fix each other's crown. Women are not very good at doing that. Okay, I went to a girls' school, so I know, But we have to, when you're up there, it's very lonely. When you find yourself being the only female, I find it very disgusting. Why? How can you tell me there are not other women like me that can actually do that job? Is it because the CV says so and so? So we can be that nice female in the industry to change the world, or the nice teacher telling the girls that you can actually be a soldier, if you want to, and you can play rugby, and we can actually be the head teachers, we can be the principals, we can be the nurses, the doctors, I remember having my child, and a male nurse was going to examine me, and he asked, is he okay? I was thinking, why not? I just need help to get this baby out. Who cares whether you're male or female? I'm not putting it there in the first place. Get it out. So it's subconsciously erasing the bias that already exists amongst us, and being very kind, compassionate, and also understanding that there's some women that don't have voices. Like you rightly said, we are the voices for those women. I cannot wait to go back to Nigeria to make that change. First female president, maybe, but it'll be a president with a change. But please, let's be international women that want to make that international change. Thank you.
I'm so glad that people have come along and sharing their stories, and you want to get involved as well, and it's so nice to be able to hear it and to give you this platform to share. Thank you so much. Does anyone have a question? Or are you going to make me run back downstairs? Okay.
Yeah, thank you for a great evening and all your wise advice. I was wondering if there's any reading material that you could recommend for a woman who's trying to be an entrepreneur and attempting to be a leader in her field. Is there any books that you could recommend? Would be great.
I just received the book actually. It's from the Female Society. We Rise by Lifting Hours. I was nominated by one of my colleagues for future leaders or something like that. I received that book. I think that's very. I can send you the link if you contact me on LinkedIn. Yeah, Natascha McVeigh from the beginning of my name. Yeah, so I can send you the book title and stuff.
I can continue. I can send as well, but first of all, for everybody, I will highly recommend Umii communication, which is so important, I think, for everybody. Even we are leader, even we are entrepreneur, we just need to learn first how we are not judging people when we are talking, when we are listening them, and when we are in communication in any kind of area. This is so important, because when I read the book, I realized it's not in my hands because of my culture, maybe because of my background. I am just something coming in my mind and I'm judging, like the ideas, like anything you are sharing with me. I'm feeling something in my mind. Yes, most probably I'm trying to help, but in the same time, And then why she is an entrepreneur, yes, but why she's not seeing this place? For example, this is also a judgment, but she doesn't need to see, so I'm there, for example, to help and to show. So first of all, I think for good communication between all gender, all humanity, we need to learn how to communicate easily, no judgment, no any bias, and nothing. I'm Yolan, communication.
I already said I love numbers, so I'm sorry, I wouldn't be the best person to recommend.
Okay, when I decided to start doing the PhD and stop running my own business, I decided what I would do was write a book about really everything I wish I'd have known when I started. It's called Success Without the Stress. I'll give you my email and we can communicate on that one. There's an awful lot of rubbish written about running a business and all the rest of it. But it's very practical, but as I say, it's everything I wish I'd have known before. So, you know, if it's useful.
I was just going to say it's a really good one. It's the one that I read like right at the beginning of lockdown actually when I first started this role. It's Girl on Fire by Alumni. I don't know if anyone's read it. Oh yes. Oh, it completely changed my mindset about how I view like it kind of tells you how to be in terms of a worst case scenario girl to be a best case scenario girl. So like being positive about everything. Basically, changing your mindset.
Just very briefly, I think her name was Julia Middleton, she'll call me because actually I used to work for her. And she wrote a book called Leading Beyond Authority. I wouldn't say it was a feminist book in any way, but it's definitely a really good leadership book if you want to be a good leader that can look above your job description and actually have influence, and how do you make an impact on community or the society. That's a really, really good book because she talks quite passionately about it. And she just happens to be a woman, but she's a very early book that I read around leadership and kind of gave me a lot of insights. And Julia Middleton.
But I would say, don't be the best you. You know, that's who you go into business as, you. Be authentic, because most people can see a phony a mile off. So just be the best you. Decide what's right for you.
Maybe one of the books that I read recently by a woman leader who's really inspirational and I need to look on my Amazon account because I am very bad with words, but it's called Stepping Up and it's very easy to see. Her name is Sarah with a H. I mean, if you want to read books that are interesting about being a woman today and how it shouldn't be in the future, or how it shouldn't be in the past, or how we can change it, it's obviously Margaret Atwood.
I mean, we have here some great undergraduate and master courses.
Hi. I really don't like microphones because I've got a naturally loud voice anyway, so apologies if I'm shouting slightly. I've actually got to leave in a minute, but I just wanted to say a massive thank you to you all. And also, I wanted to individually say to you that obviously I work at the university, I manage the Global Experiences team, and some of the panel members up here are some of my ex-students and some students that, you know, I'd really like to just say that working in a higher education environment and being around women who inspire me, actually the students inspire me every single day without fail. And it really is a testament to the job that I do and how much I enjoy my job is the students. We've got Bahar here who we are supporting at the moment with her We Are the Change movement. We've got Yongyan here, who actually was one of our students who took part in everything, nearly everything that we ever did. And we have Amina, who was our VP International and also a student. And I can honestly say that if it's this generation of women that's coming up, we are going to have no problem breaking every single glass wall, every single glass ceiling I can think of. And so, as well as all the women on here, thank you so much. But thank you so much to you for coming along, and thank you for being such a great inspiration to me on a daily basis. So thank you. I think Julie summed that up really nicely. Does anyone have any other questions that we can go into? Oh, okay. There are a couple. Okay. Yes?
Could the panel members write down their book suggestions? Maybe you could collect them?
I can absolutely collect them and circulate. Yeah. Yeah. So, yep. So if anyone wants the book suggestions, what I'll do is follow up email to everyone invited. Was there someone else up there?
Yeah, I had my hand up.
Yeah. Do you have a question?
No, I just wanted to add a few comments, if that's okay.
Yeah. Do you want the microphone?
I don't know if everybody can hear me. Hi. My name is Tayo, and I'm a pharmacist. I also teach in Lincoln School of Pharmacy. I've been doing that for about 6 years now. Teaching side of things. I've been a pharmacist for the best part of 20 years. And I teach menopause in Lincoln, and I totally understand what the point that was raised about women in workplace and how menopause is treated. And I think that needs to be talked about more. And it's not just about menopause, it's also about things like endometriosis that can be debilitating for a lot of women and can lead to a lot of lost work days. And I think healthcare professionals, particularly doctors, should understand that more and be able to educate people. And I think that would radiate to the workforce, and people recognize that more as we go forward. But the other thing I wanted to talk about is the fact that talking about women showing the feminine side, I'm totally all for that. But I think sometimes that can go to the extreme. I mean, look at the wonderful ladies in the panel, all well dressed, looking glam. But sometimes, as men in the workplace, being a pharmacist in community side of things, I'm typically the only bloke in the workplace. And sometimes the way women express their feminine side, particularly the way they dress, you don't know where to look. And I think if you look on social media as well, I think women can, particularly the generation now can, I think the thing they can make their voice heard is by flaunting a lot of cleavage, if you like, or the way they dress, and that can be very annoying, maybe not annoying, that can be very intimidating, but I think people do it for the likes on social media. You look on Instagram and you scroll through, and all you see is 100,000 likes for people doing absolutely nothing, apart from dancing or showing cleavage, if I'm allowed to use that word. And I think that needs to be addressed as well. I think men can find that quite unsettling, particularly in the workplace.
I don't know what pharmacy you work at, but I definitely don't ever turn up in Paris or do any of the provocative dance moves. And actually, I would suggest where you could look is them in the eye.
I think I'm talking for a good size of men, a size proportion of men, if I can use that word. And I think that needs to be addressed as well, particularly on social media. I'm not saying the ladies wear that to work. I think we have a dress code to cater for that or to address that. But if you look on social media, particularly, I think that is a big issue.
Well, don't look on social media then. Do you know what? I'm sorry. No. The only reason you feel you can stand there and spout this utter nonsense is because you are a man. And you seem to think you have some extra right. A woman can dress however she wants to dress. If it makes you uncomfortable, perhaps you're in the wrong industry.
No, that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying here.
That's exactly what you're saying. I think you need to stop now, because that's not what this panel is
Okay, I'm going to stop now, but one of you...
We can't change social media.
Say that
We can't change social media.
I'm
That's not why we're here this evening. Listen, this is getting a little bit out of hand, so I would just thank you for your comment, and thank you for your feedback. And I think...
A time and a place for those comments, and this probably was the terrible audience to start. To be honest, to address your points on social media and in real life, actually, women are allowed to wear what they want, and I don't see the problem in someone having a cleavage, which is actually a natural part of being a woman. And also is only sexualised by males, which is probably a different conversation. But I'm very surprised at you enforcing your point in front of a group of women who are here for International Women's Day, and the whole point of this seminar or event is to raise awareness for women and raise awareness that it is a gender equal world. And I think if men were flaunting themselves on social media, which I have definitely seen before, and I don't think that a woman would stand up in an event like this and say that that was ever a problem. And I think that actually there is an education there to be had in terms of what people can do and what they can't do and where it's appropriate, and I don't think that has anything to do with being a female or a male or whatever you want to call yourself. It is just a workplace thing.
I mean, it's just sums it up and break the bias.
Okay, I stand corrected, and I apologize if I'm offending anybody. I've been re-educated by the few comments I've had, so I probably need to re-educate myself. So
I think it's a conversation you could probably have with the room.
I totally render my apology, and some of these amazing people I know are women, so I totally render my apology if I'm offended anybody.
Okay, so on that note, I think there is still a lot of education to be had about females and about the workplace and breaking the bias, and actually I think things like that probably highlight the fact that yes, it's amazing to be a woman in the UK, yes, we've got so far, but there's still so much to learn. And I really, really hope that coming to something like this has enabled that conversation, has enabled you to say, actually, that's not an appropriate comment. And actually, it's nice to be able to have a panel of speakers and a room full of people who will say, no, that's not appropriate, and this is not what we're about today, and that actually we're all here and saying, yes, good on you for speaking up, and that is the change that we're looking for, and that is the inclusive attitude that we want, and that is all about International Women's Day, and that's all about what we're trying to achieve, and to raise awareness that we need a gender balanced world where we don't have these comments, and that actually if we do have these comments, we can stand up to them, and we can make that change. What I want to do is thank the panel. Thank you so much. Thank you. We all appreciate you so much giving up your time and giving up your sort of thoughts about International Women's Day, what it means to you. I know that everyone thinks differently about stuff, but actually there are themes, really common themes that have come out of today. Because you're the audience for it, actually, we do have one of our panel members, Bahar, who is going to talk to you a little bit about We Are the Change, and it's an initiative for women, so we think that you're the perfect audience for it. The launch event is next week on the 16th of March here at the David Chiddick building. What I'm going to do is let Bahar talk for a little bit about it. We really, really hope that you'll get involved and be a part of it, so I'll just hand over to Bahar.
Waiting for, I think, yes, I get excited. We Are the Change is for supporting students, women entrepreneurship and leadership in the same time. So
It's very quiet, very quick explanation why it's together, like leadership and entrepreneurship. Because if you are an entrepreneur, you just need to lead your business with yourself, with your ideas, with your power, with your everything. So we are going to support like your leadership skill and your entrepreneurial mindset with VR Change. We have some entrepreneur here, like I met before in Lincoln, which is they really need support like in this area, and also students, because when we are having an idea, we don't know how to shape it, we don't know where we go, we don't know like how we get the support. So Mike is here also from the Spark House, so we are kind of working together and knocking his door like every week since I came Lincoln, and trying to create this initiative for Lincoln now, for Lincoln University, but in the end it will go global, like in
It's been a really nice event. I'm really glad that everyone sort of shared their own stories as well and been able to interact with the panel. I'm sure the panel won't mind me saying, if you want to add them on LinkedIn, if you want to add them on LinkedIn, talk about their own experiences, get to know them, come and connect with them, talk to Bahar about We Are the Change. Please do come along and get involved. We're all really sort of welcome and up to networking, so please do come and have a chat with us if you want to. But otherwise, thank you so much for coming, and I hope that this is the start of something.